Hi everyone, I'm Johnny Beard and welcome to episode 2 of the Streamer Stories podcast. And this is a podcast that we're talking to fellow streamers on YouTube or Twitch about their life stories, their stories about their history of video games and their history of being a streamer. And my second guest for episode 2 is Kate, aka Tangomushi. Here she is. How you doing?
Hello! Oh my god, I'm so excited to be here!
I hope you're doing good. I hope you're in a good place right now. I love your background, by the way. I haven't said that yet. Your background's awesome.
Had to relocate. It's the same room. It's just I used to be over there and now I'm over here. But yeah, no, this setup is far better for streaming. I had to for streaming. The Elgato and capture card is a pain in the ass to set up. So this is much better. Streamer setup. It's great.
Oh, brilliant. So you're on Twitch predominantly, aren't you? You're Tangomushi on Twitch.
That's it. I'm Tangomushi. I'm predominantly a horror streamer, but I like to mix it up with the odd story-focused game the odd time. And I'm based in Cork, Ireland.
I was going to say, yes, you are from Ireland. How long have you been streaming for?
I've been streaming. When did I start? I think my first stream was a week before Halloween, because I remember I did a Halloween stream really early on.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that
first game I played was Resi 2 Remake.
Nice. We'll talk about that later on, really, but we're going to start at the beginning, of course. We're going to start. So can you tell me then, what was the first, do you remember your first memory of video games, generally speaking, just generally?
Oh,
the earliest memory.
Right, earliest memory. Yeah, I think the earliest memory I have is playing the Final Fantasy X demo disc on PS2.
Right.
Yeah.
Hang on, can I test myself here? Is that the demo disc that was with Final Fantasy VI?
No, actually.
Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
I never got to play Final Fantasy VI until later on, unfortunately.
All
this
right.
was just a random demo disc. Funniest thing about it, actually, was that I don't know where that demo disc came from.
I was going to say.
One day, it must have been a mailing list or something we signed up to, but it just came in the door one day.
Right.
Me and my sister were like, what's this? I wonder, we weren't familiar with it. Popped in, and it was... now it's still my favorite game ever. So whoever sent that in the door, thank you for doing that. You did me a favor.
Amazing. So again, because I'm quite familiar with that disc, it was Xanacan, wasn't it?
That's the one.
And was there two? Was there one? I think you had like a bit of Besaid on there.
There was indeed. There was a Final Fantasy X-2. Wait, do you mean the sequel? Is it?
No, I'm talking about the demo disc because I think there was two.
Yes. Just Xanarkin and Besaid, actually.
Yeah,
yes, you're right.
I think it was from Final Fantasy VI because I've got that copy. So there you go. That might answer where it came from. But then again, you said you possibly got it from a newsletter. So do you collect magazines and stuff?
Yeah, I remember if you know the name Jetix.
No.
Do you know that was probably in the middle 2000s, like PS2 era. That was I think it was comics, it was video games, there was a thing like. It was kind of a total mash of things in there, but it always came with little demo discs. They used to have demos, and then it just turned into like videos and trailers. So it got a little boring as it went on. But I remember that was where I got exposure to a load of games. I found a load of them actually. I did a little bit of a clean out and found a load of them. It'd be cool to look through them again.
Oh wow!
That was a great little magazine. I remember Kingdom Hearts 2 trailer was on that, and I just remember being so hyped for the graphics when I was a little kid. It's great.
That's a fascinating thing, though, because for me, just personally, I mean, I remember demo discs being a PS1 era thing, and it was partly PS2. It died off, unfortunately, didn't it? After a while, with like the PS3 and the Xbox 360 era thing. But
exactly.
Yeah,
demos kicked in, and it was cool and all. They're functional, but there's just something cool about getting a demo disc and just what's in there. We'll find out. Just random 7 or 8 games in there.
Oh, I love those.
It's exciting.
Absolutely love those. So that was your first experience was a demo then. So what about the first game then? So what was the first game you played?
Boy, first fully fledged game. My oldest memory of playing a game, beating it all in one fell swoop was probably Kingdom Hearts 1. So I was mad into Square Enix, obviously, and nothing's changed at all. And Sonic Adventure, the two of them, they're definitely my oldest memories of a fully fledged game. They are just I play those now, and it's just a rush of nostalgia hits me. You know what I mean? I remember just being glued to the TV. I don't think I beat Kingdom Hearts 1 initially, because if you've ever played it yourself, the final boss in that is crazy. It is just like 7 bosses in a row.
Jesus.
But, it's crazy. But Sonic Adventure, like that's near and dear to my heart. I feel like that's like influenced my taste in everything that were to come after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've not beaten Kingdom Hearts 1. I got stuck on Ursula.
Yeah, she's a tough boss as well, actually. It just gets harder from there on out. It's ridiculous. Yeah. The final bosses in that game are surreal.
So that's crazy, isn't it, in terms of the fact that you're mostly a horror streamer, but your early doors were platformers and RPGs then? RPGs.
Yeah, I see, like, when I started streaming, I wanted to be more RPG focused, but I just felt that, and I still, they're all I play offline, horror and RPGs, but I just feel like RPGs are so long. They're a massive time commitment. And I feel like horror games, they're super engaging, regardless of whether you know anything about it or not. You know, the streamer gets spooked, the chat gets spooked. They're usually short enough games, so I feel like personally anyway, I feel they're better suited for streaming. But I did play a bit of RPGs at the beginning, testing the waters, you know?
Oh no, that's awesome. So Fantasy X, when did you actually play Fantasy X then? Was it much longer afterwards, or?
So the demo was when I was really young, like, but I'd say the game itself, I got it later on, much later on, actually. I'd say I finally played 10 fully when I was like 12. It took I think I played 10-2 first, so I was completely lost in the story. I don't know what I was doing, but it was just a matter of which game I found first, you know? But yeah, no, that was another, like, that, just everything about 10. Like, you've played 10. I know that you're big on Final Fantasy. Like, it's just the story, the music, the characters, kind of the themes that it touches upon in the game. Just everything, it ticks every box, you know, like post-game content. It's just the battle system. It's just there. I cannot fault 10. I know there's probably been a nostalgia goggles in there as well, but it's just, that game is just flawless to me.
It's excellent.
You know?
Brilliant game. So those are the earliest memories really of playing games. So what other games did you play early on then? So you mentioned Sonic, you mentioned Kingdom Hearts, you mentioned Final Fantasy X. What, have you got any other gaming memories from early on that you can think about?
Jak and Daxter.
Oh, right.
That's another big one. That game, that's actually, yes, that would be another very early on memory as well. The first 3 Jak and Daxter games. There was Jak X as well, but that was just a racing game, wasn't it? Yeah, those games as well. They were, like, I used to be such like an obsessive Naughty Dog fan when I was a kid, like Crash Bandicoot. Like, Crash Bandicoot was a little bit before me. That's what my sister played. My older sister played the hell out of that, whereas I played the hell out of Jak and Daxter. And then when they got onto like the PS3 era, I kind of, you know, phased out of their games, but like their early on games were just bursting with creativity. You know, there wasn't another game on the PS2 like Jak and Daxter to me. You know, the world building was fantastic in those games. You know, it was great. That was another big one.
Brilliant. So I'm getting the impression your forays into video gaming were mostly console based. Did you have a PC at the time when the PC gaming came in? Oh, is it not in at all?
We had a computer, and it was able to run Age of Empires. So I remember playing that all right when I was a kid. I had no clue what I was doing, but it was fun seeing all the little men running around the place building things, you know? But no, PC, I'm not familiar with PC. A lot of it's just unfamiliar with how to dive into it. But like a lot of the franchises I like are primarily console, you know? Yeah. So I feel like it just makes sense to stick on console, but I never say no to PC if I got the money, you know?
Totally. And did you are you mostly someone that played games, you play solo games, or you play any games with your family or friends, or?
I like the solo story driven kind of storytelling, you know, but let's see, hang on. I remember playing a lot of Rayman M. That was a multiplayer Rayman game on the PS2. I remember playing the hell out of that with my sister. That was great. It wasn't, looking back on it, it's not a good game. It's not a good game, but by God, we got some mileage out of that game. No, but beyond that, no. It's like my parents, when I was growing up, they were really like encouraging. They really loved the games. They loved looking at them and seeing the pretty graphics and all that. But it was always kind of a solo thing, I think, for the most part. But my sister was very involved in my tastes. She kind of led me down the path of what games I got into, but she's not much of a gamer now either. It's mainly just me at this stage. I'm all alone.
Yeah. Well, they always said we're going to get out of those games when we were older, the parents, or certainly with me anyway. But your sister then, is she an older sister, a younger sister?
Yes, she's older. She's about, what is she? She's about 26 now, I'd say.
Okay.
She's super invested in games as a whole, but doesn't play them much. She kind of
Right.
just likes the keeping up with them. She'll watch me play them, no problem. But she doesn't really play as much anymore.
All right. No,
Moved
that's
on,
cool.
grew up, grew out of it. It was just a phase. No.
So did she play games? Just obviously, again, we're going back to your history, really. So did you watch
Oh,
her play games?
sorry. I think you're muted. I can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me
Oops.
now?
Yeah,
Oh,
we're good now.
that's weird. Sorry. So yeah, because she's the older sister, then did you watch her play games before you got into your first games?
Yeah, it was all about watching Crash Bandicoot.
Right, got you. Got you.
Watching a lot of Crash. What other games were there? She played Kingdom Hearts before me, actually, so
Ah,
that explains how I got onto it as well. Yeah, it was all the same games, and I remember actually apparently, the joke that they make about when your younger sibling is sitting there watching you play a game and you give them a remote to make them feel
yeah,
like they're invested in the game. I was like, they always did that with me, and even if I
yeah.
didn't have a remote, I was still like, would like seem to simulate the hand, like the controller in my hand, like as if I was trying to play it. Even
Oh
like,
yeah.
dude, it was weird. I was just trying to get way too invested in watching her play games.
Oh, I did it too. No, I used to do it. My little brother. We used to play Tekken. Well, I played Tekken, but
Tekken, that's another one. Yes.
Tekken. Oh, what was your go-to?
Oh,
Who's your favorite Tekken character? Go on,
always gonna be Nina because I just
Nina.
think she's a cool lady, and she's Irish, so
I was gonna
represent.
say you've
But
got that.
she's a cool lady. I loved her design. I love her concept, just like that cold-hearted assassin.
Yeah.
But it's always Jin as well. I just love
Jin.
his music was banging
Oh
as well
yeah.
for starters. But I just love the simplicity of the outfit. Like the little flame
Yeah.
decals that he had going on, and his little turnip haircut, like.
Yeah. I've got a
Just
gin. I've got a
it's
gin pop somewhere. Oh, I don't know. Doesn't matter.
He had a pop. I
Um,
had no clue
I,
he had a pop.
yeah,
Wow.
hey, Tekken. I've got Tekken. Yeah, it's over there somewhere at the bottom.
What?
Yeah, I've got a
Crazy.
gin Tekken pop. Yeah.
That's all. I didn't even know Tekken had pops. God damn it.
Yeah, I was talking to someone yesterday about they thought that Final Fantasy had pops, but they don't. But Kingdom Hearts do apparently. If you didn't
They
know
do.
that.
They definitely. I've seen Donald and Goofy already. I think Sora as well. Yeah. I can't keep up with pops. They are
No.
just they keep them going. Like.
They must be making so much money off them. It's crazy.
Yes.
So putting you on the spot here, then. So, what is your favorite game of all time? I know you might have just mentioned it, but is that the one you're going to go with, or are you going to change your mind? Is that your final answer? Are we playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Oh boy, it is a really close tie between Final Fantasy X and Silent Hill 2.
Ooh, nice, great shout.
Oh, yeah, that they were playing Silent Hill 2 as a kid was a bad choice because I got so many nightmares. But it is just the masterclass of horror. I think Silent Hill 2 would edge out Final Fantasy X by like a
Yeah,
hair. You know, I think about it every day. Like the
yeah.
lore, the way that Silent Hill 2 operates, the amazing way that it touches on so many really topics that are not for the faint of heart. Like
Mm,
it really but it does so with so much grace, I think, and it's aging like fine wine, and I just
mm,
think it's probably the best horror media. I've film, book, game. Silent Hill 2 trumps them all in my opinion.
mm.
I think that's the winner.
It's quite interesting that you mentioned that because, like Silent Hill 2, when you think about it now from a horror perspective, was really
Mm,
ahead of its time in terms of the fact that I don't remember a game dealing with the themes it was dealing with before it.
yes.
So it's
Yes.
quite interesting you mentioned that. You know,
Definitely. And still to this day, I can't think of many games that have gone as far as it did.
mm,
So, well, maybe there is, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. It's just, it was amazing. The approach they took with that game is surreal.
yeah. And again, Fantasy X's got similar themes in terms of the fact that I mean, there's probably was games that dealt with the themes that 10 dealt with, but I mean, like in terms of like the religious themes, I think with 10, I don't recall a theme really, especially not with an RPG that's kind of like
Mhm.
teeny. It was not. The themes were quite mature, really, but the game itself wasn't.
Yes. And the
So,
the way that the religion in 10 influences
mm,
people's that like there's even the game even touches on a bit of racism as well with the way that remember Waka is so against the Albed race in the game. It was only when I played it, I'd say when I was about 17 or 18, replaying it, did I realize, whoa, this is really impressive the way it's handling these topics. It's those are you got to be careful if you're going to touch those topics in a game. But Silent Hill 2 and 10, Final Fantasy 10, they're just masterclass.
Yeah, definitely
Really.
see a theme there in terms of why you prefer those games and the stories like you mentioned. So,
Mm.
so can you tell us about one of your favorite video game stories growing up?
Okay. I had to think about this one. This is going to sound really absurd, but trust me, every word of it is truth.
Okay,
Um,
I'm
it's
prepared.
just it's a weird one. When I would say like maybe 7 or 8, but my sister would have been more 12 or so, 12 or 13. We live in like a terraced area, so there's a lot of houses around us. And we, being the Sega kids that we have been and always will be, we grew up with the Dreamcast, and we were anything Sega, we wanted it. We were on the hunt for those Sega games, which was easier said than done because Dreamcast unfortunately didn't do as well as we all wish it
Mhm.
could have. But one day it was really stormy, or it was really rainy one day, and then in this room, actually the same room I'm in now, there's a massive window that leads out onto the gutter, the pipe work out there, whatever the hell you want to call it. And one day my sister just came into the room and she just said, "What's that out in the drain over there?" And she looked out and there was a disc. There was a disc chilling in the drain. And we went out, reached it, pulled it in. My dad got it for us. And it was Crazy Taxi for the
Right.
Dreamcast. And like I still to this day, the only thing it could be is that someone was passing the house and yeeted a disc up into the drain work. That's the only thing it could be. But it was in pristine condition. Just had to give it a
Right.
little dust off. And well, now we have Crazy Taxi on the Dreamcast. It sounds so absurd, and it's as absurd to me as it is to you. But you know what? It's someone was looking down on us and just decided I'm gonna treat your day a little bit.
Yeah.
Here's a Sega game on me.
Maybe it came from a taxi.
Exactly,
Could it
exactly.
be?
And what a great
Someone
game that
reacted to
was!
something like that,
Like,
throwing the disc. No,
just treating everyone on the street.
God in a taxi. It was, yeah.
Yeah, that was a weird one, but you know what? I'm glad for it. I'm
That's
glad for it.
amazing, and especially since you said it was. I was about to say, so did it work? But I was going to ask, but you answered the question for me. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
crazy. That
All
is
it could be
crazy.
is it must have just been someone passing by who happened to have, like, I don't know. I would love to know. Or maybe it was a neighbor, also had a Dreamcast and
Yeah.
also really liked Sega. I don't know, dude, but you know what? I'm not complaining.
So you'd never played Crazy Taxi up until that point before?
No, no.
All right.
We found Choo Choo Rocket
Hmm.
in a secondhand shop for like a fiver. And then it was not too long. Would have been like within a year or so after that. I remember distinctly, we were like, I want to get more Sega games. We got Jet Set Radio, Sonic Adventures, Choo Choo Rocket, Space Channel 5. And then this one just landed in our lap.
Hmm. That is
A work
mental.
of the gods.
So you went. So your first console was the PlayStation 2. So when did you get the
Mhm.
Dreamcast in comparison time wise? Then.
It, we had it the whole time, but I definitely didn't start playing it until after the PS2.
Oh, I got you.
And then same with the PS1. Like the PS2 was definitely my oldest memory, and then the Dreamcast kind of slithered in there at some point.
Excellent.
Even though it's the older console, I believe, between the two.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was months, wasn't it? Because yeah, that's right. Because the Dreamcast came out, and it was like pioneering, and then the PS2 trumped everything that it did really, apart from online
Completely.
play. So
It never stood a chance.
it's
The
a
poor
shame.
thing.
It was such a shame. Poor Sega.
That was a console that was ahead of its time, though, in my
It
opinion.
was. No, it
It
was. I
really
mean,
was.
no, I never did. I never did have a Dreamcast. No.
No way.
No, I had a Mega Drive and I had the Sega Saturn at one point, very briefly. But no, I never did get the Dreamcast in the end. So
There's some gems on that one. Isn't that where Shenmue? I think Shenmue was
Yeah.
first on the Dreamcast. I
I
think.
believe
Yeah.
it was.
There was a lot of great games on that.
I believe the pool of games is short, but the quality of games on the Dreamcast were pretty good from what
That's
I've heard.
exactly it. And that's actually how I played Resident Evil 2, the original
Oh,
Dreamcast.
wow.
I didn't even know that had a Dreamcast port, but yeah, that was
Everyone's
a good
taking a
port.
Mickey out of
Solid
Resi
port.
4 being the port-in game, but no, I think Resi 2 is on everything as well. So it was on the Sega Saturn.
Anything with Leon, and they've got a money machine right there.
Apparently so. Apart from 6, we won't talk
Yeah.
about 6. We won't talk about 6.
We'll keep that one out of there. We don't acknowledge that.
So I'm gonna go on a tangent here from my original question list, and I'm gonna start talking to you about Sonic, because I
baby.
know you love
Let's
Sonic.
go.
So Sonic Adventure is your favorite Sonic game, isn't it?
Sonic Adventure,
Oh, is it?
Sonic Adventure, and Sonic CD. Kind of
Sonic
dual
CD.
first place right there.
I mean, that's interesting
Yeah.
that because again, I mean, when we've had a few chats, haven't we? Not like this, but we have had a few chats about Sonic and the fact that I'm like Mega Drive era, and then you're like Sonic Adventure Dreamcast era. But Sonic CD is kind of nicely in the middle, really.
It is. I'm not even sure what console it was on because the only version I played of it was the PS3 port,
Was it the
That's how I played
32X it was on? I think it was on the 32X, and then it
Okay.
got ported, I
Must
believe.
have, yeah. It was kind of a hard one to get your hands on, I'd say.
Yeah.
In the it wasn't on. I'll admit I'm not familiar with the 32X, but I don't know if it
No.
was any on any other major consoles at the time.
No, it
Must
was
have
a,
been, but
I remember it coming out on PC and Xbox and all that many years later. That's how I played it. I didn't play it
yeah,
for
most people
aeons.
seem to have played it on the ports. Yeah,
Yeah.
the
So,
soundtrack in that one. Oh,
well, yeah, it's interesting you mentioned about the soundtrack because, again, I'm assuming you play Sonic Mania
yes,
because,
hell
of
yeah.
course, so much Sega, so much Sonic CDs in Sonic Mania. Like, again,
Hmm.
I can't remember what way I played it. I think I played Sonic uh, Mania afterwards, but I didn't finish it until after I finished Sonic Mania, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So again, it was quite interesting seeing the combination, the fluidity and the blending really of the games. Really,
Yes, yes, they took a lot of influence from CD, and I'm glad because CD gets a little forgotten. It's there's Sonic One, there's Sonic Two, but then CD's just chilling there. Most people don't even know about it. A lot of Sonic fans I've talked to, they're like, "Huh, Sonic CD, I'll have to look into that one." But that's where Metal Sonic came
yeah.
into the mix.
No,
Like it was a great game.
any Sonic fan worth their salt needs to play it. Definitely.
That's right. Too right. Too right.
Um, so talk us through your playthrough, your first playthrough of Sonic Adventure. Then,
Oh
because there's a lot
lordy.
of stories on that game. It's quite a bigger game than people
Oh,
realize.
it is. It's an impressive game as well. It was a very ambitious game because every single character had a different approach to the
Mm,
game. But like obviously played the hell out of Sonic and Tails' stories. They're kind of the bread and butter of that game. Hated big stage. Hated anything to do with big. And I hate it. And it's. I think it's just I didn't understand it. I didn't understand the mechanics of the fishing game. Then when I got older and I did understand the mechanics, I still didn't like it. It's just too slow paced, personally. Oh man, but I think my favorite plot or what would you call it, character to play as in that game was probably Amy's one.
oh yeah, yeah.
Um, the machine that's after, I can't remember his name for the life of me. He's the big green machine that's trying to chase down the bird that she has in that game.
Uh,
Blanking on all the names right now, but it was a really like heart wrenching story. Is it safe to go ahead and say the ending, or will I
yeah,
will I
go for
avoid
it.
it?
Go for it.
Will I go for it?
Spoilers. Spoiler
Um,
alert. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert for Sonic Adventure. The ending, if I remember correctly, after that machine, a villain chasing her for the entire game, um, he must have some kind of final battle. He's going after the bird. The bird has some amulet or something that he wants, but he ends up exploding, and the machine's dead. And then I think it's just the music, and then Amy kind of realizes, hey, he wasn't that bad after all, and it was just, 10-year-old me was just getting
Yeah,
really like, I was really blubbering about that ending. Like
yeah,
it was
yeah.
really, it was that's kind of what I always liked about Sonic. I just felt that they kind of touched upon more interesting storytelling to me than its competitor Mario. And like Mario's a great game. I
Mm,
can't fault Mario, but there's just something about Sonic had a little bit more edge to it. They
yeah,
kind of they went more for the heartstrings
they
sometimes,
did.
and even from Sonic. So I'll always love it for that.
No, they did. No, you're spot on with that. Yeah, because Mario never really did really kind of go to that next level really in terms of the storytelling. When
Hmm.
Sonic took risks. I mean, don't get me wrong, Mario
Yeah.
clearly did as well. Of course, we all know it did in terms of the gameplay and the aesthetics and all that stuff. But in terms of the storytelling, Sonic really did take a lot of risks. Some weren't the
Hmm.
best risks, but I mean, credit where it's
You
due.
know, I'd
They.
rather they take risks and try something new than kind of stick to a formula. Like the same goes for the music in Sonic. Music is always going to be my favorite thing. I feel like Sonic and Sega as a whole have incredibly influenced my music taste because
Mm,
I'm super into like 90s hip hop. That's my bread and butter. And if you listen to the songs, like Sonic CD has a very funky vibe to
yeah.
the music, but Sonic Adventure, there's especially Knuckles stages, they've got the really sick like 90s hip hop beat to them. The rapping is very like early 90s alt hip hop, and it's good. It's really, you can tell they did their research when it came to the
Mm,
music in Sonic. They really wanted to replicate that sound, and they did it spot on. Love
mm.
it.
No, there's something very special about that late '90s era. I think of music.
Mhm.
That's me as well.
There
But
were
yeah,
so many genres going on at once
yeah,
in the late
a lot of
90s. It was
blending,
great.
a lot of blending with different
Mhm.
styles. So what game are you currently playing right now?
On stream, I'm currently playing getting to the end of Silent Hill 1.
Oh, nice,
Sybil
nice.
is whooping my ass.
Oh, is she?
I
What
cannot
ending
figure
are you
out how
going
to
for?
save her.
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. What ending are you going for?
I'm trying. Main thing is I just don't want Sybil to die, but that's proving very hard. The mechanics of how to, save her during that boss fight are really fickle, more fickle than I remember. I cannot figure out the knack to it for the life of me.
Hmm.
But outside of that, we've been playing. Just on Sunday, we were playing White Day: A Labyrinth Called School, which is a
Yeah, I saw a
really
bit of that. Yeah.
really kind of offbeat. It was a 2001 South Korean horror game released on PC by just one guy, an indie game, and this is the version I'm playing is a 2016, I believe, remake of it. It's kind of aged. It's a direct remake, so it's you can see where it's aged. Like this would have been fantastic in 2001, not so
Hmm.
fantastic in 2016.
Got you. Yeah.
But it's an impressive little game. It's very stealth focused, which is kind of interesting for a horror game to be so focused on stealth. So anyone who kind of likes that idea, I highly recommend giving it a go. I know it's on
Yeah.
PC as well.
I,
So
I was going to ask how did you found that game because I'd never heard of it until I saw you play it on the weekend. So
yeah, I
yeah,
just love indie horror games. Like
yeah.
seeing how people, the kind of how people beyond the big AAA games try to approach. Because horror is such a wonderfully vast genre. There's so many ways you can go about spooking someone.
Mm,
And I love finding new approaches to it.
definitely. Yeah. So what? So that's what you're playing on stream. You play? Do you? Yeah. Let's just talk about that then. So how many games do you play off stream comparatively on stream?
Ooh. A lot more. Like a lot of the time when I talk to people who I've met through streaming, they're like, "Oh, what do you play offline?" And I tell them the most like JRPGs, rhythm games, visual novels, and they're just like, "Whoa, that disconnect right there." At the moment offline, what am I playing? I'm playing Silent Hill 2. Oh, I will actually Silent Hill 2. I'm going for the 10-star run in Silent Hill 2
Oh,
at the moment.
nice.
And the HD collection is a hunk of junk.
Yes.
I was going for that. I was getting through, spoiler alert for Silent Hill 2. I was getting through the abstract daddy fight, the Eddie fight at the end of the game, the boat section, which is a pain in the ass on hard mode. The controls are shocking. They're abysmal. And I got through all of that after days and days of practicing, and I got to the final cutscene, and I was thinking, God, it would be really awkward if the game froze on me. It froze on me, so
No.
it's all my 10-star
No.
progress. That
Oh
only happened
no.
last night. But anyway, I'm over it. It's fine.
Oh no.
But it is what it is. But outside of that, what else am I playing? Life is Strange 2.
Oh right. Yeah.
That's another one. Yeah. Have you ever played the Life is Strange games?
Personally, I haven't. So my list of
It's on
games
the
I need to play
list.
is massive. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel you.
Oh, I was just
Yeah.
having that conversation just the other day actually about the fact that I only stream a couple of times a week myself, and there's so many games I want to play, but you can't. There's not enough hours in the day. That's the only problem.
That's it. Like, yeah,
It's
exactly. I used to be so hell bent on trying to get myself to get through that backlog. Be
yeah.
systematic about it. But it's like you're never going to get through it.
No, no.
If you, it's too long. Just chill out. Just play it at your own pace.
And then you've got that horrible dilemma of do you want to play something new or do you want to play something that you love and hold dearly to your heart that you want
Right?
to play over and over and over again.
You feel like you have to have allotted times. Like, oh, I can play this, but then I have to keep moving with this new game that I
Yeah,
started. But then I want to start this game over here. Like,
yeah,
oh my god, I feel that. I feel that
yeah.
very much.
We're very blessed actually to have so many games right now available. Again, I feel like that's a thing that I've noticed personally with gaming nowadays is the choice is just crazy about how many games there is available now. Like I feel like we're really hitting that time in just in terms of like video game history now. I really feel like we're so blessed right now that we can play so many games, and of course you've got HD remasters and ports and all that stuff going on as well. We're very blessed. So
Exactly. But the one thing I find very kind of unfortunate about the gaming industry compared to like film or TV or anything like that is there's not much care to properly preserve older games. Like there's a lot of games that are so impossible. Like I mean, a lot of people resort to emulating, which is fair enough, but we shouldn't have to resort to that. There
yeah,
should be easier ways and means to access games. Like I mean, I'm thinking about it. If you want to get a game prior to like the PS3 era, like PS2 backwards, you have to probably pay a pretty penny to
mm,
get your hands on a copy for a lot of games. And it's just such a shame. I think they should really utilize things like PS Now and Game Pass to better accommodate to preserving gems from the past, you know?
100%.
I really hope that they can do that like they do with TV and film and everything else, you know?
No, 100%. I agree, completely agree with that. So when you play on stream, do you play because you play console, don't you, on stream? Am I right?
Console.
So do you play the physical consoles, the actual official
Yes.
consoles? That's
Yes.
amazing. I love people who do that. It's so cool. Yeah.
It's the capture card setup is a bit annoying. I am envious of PC gamers that how quick and easy it is on the PC. But yeah, it'll always be console for the foreseeable future anyway.
Yeah. No,
Struggle on.
kudos. Because like you said, because I suppose you could do that, but like you said, it's a shame really that there's not more that can be done. Or well, there is stuff that can be done, but it's so hard to get developers of games or consoles to make it easier. It's a real shame, to be
And
honest.
it's funny because they would make good money if they just threw up old games, say for €5, £5, whatever. You know, just a little bit of money to get to benefit from it a little bit. People would buy it. It's like it's a perfectly valid way of making some easy money. They don't have to do anything. They just gotta throw a port up on the store and they're done. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
They should really get on that.
No, 100%, completely agree. And like you said, and they want to discourage emulation. And I mean, I personally, I emulate. I own the games, but it's just so much easier. But then again, like you said, it's a shame that you got to go the wrong way around it to do it that way.
It's like a grey area on Twitch, as far as I'm aware. You know, it's kind of it's a bit of a hush hush thing. Oops, sorry about that. It probably is. I'm not sure. I've never looked into it, but it's just annoying. You know, it would be nice if they could just accommodate us a little better. You know,
100%. So if you were stuck on a remote island and if you had to choose 3 games, what would they be? I was having this chat with Matt on episode 1 about the fact that it doesn't have to be your favourite game, does it? Because you can get more longevity out of certain games. So think carefully about the 3 games you choose. You're on the remote island forever. So.
Oh boy. Okay, let's see. Okay. I think Final Fantasy X will have to be in there just for the pure hours you can get out of that game. And honestly, I could play that game to death and never get bored of it.
Completing the sphere grid as well.
Exactly. Oh boy, don't bring back the memories. I think for something competitive and that's like, a comfort game. Let's see. I would say Dead by Daylight, just for the fun, keeping in that horror theme. But also another one, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's called Hatsune Miku Project Diva. It's
I have heard of it through my daughter, actually. Yes.
No way! Yes, your daughter has amazing taste. There we go. I love that game. That's a fantastic rhythm game. It's made by Sega. So here we go again, back at it with the Sega. But it's really like addictive to get the really high grades in it. I'm also very competitive with rhythm games. Oh my god, do not be around me when I play rhythm games. I get like super competitive with them. But that's another good one. The music in it is great too.
I was going to say, I've heard there's some bangers on there. That's one thing I've heard.
There are some bangers, right?
I've heard
there
about
really
that.
are.
So is it so what type of rhythm game is it? Because I'm not too familiar with the game. Is it? It's not dance pad or anything like that, is it? It's not like Dance Dance Revolution.
No, it's you can use those what are they called? Like the pads, the way they have those for like rhythm games and fighting games, the things with the joystick and all that shebang. Yeah. But I just use the gamepad. But it plays a video in the background, and there's just little the square, X, triangle, circle, whatever show up on the screen randomly around the screen, and then you see them flying into the screen, and you just have to press them at the right time. Right. It can be a little bit of a sensory overload sometimes because there's a lot of colors going on, which I feel probably adds to the challenge. But it's a fun one, very different to the likes of more Western rhythm games like Guitar Hero and all that.
I was about to ask about that, because that's my go-to is in rhythm games is Guitar Hero. I love Guitar Hero. So
it's classic. You can't go wrong.
That'll lead to another conversation.
Exactly. Hell yeah.
So what other games, just generally speaking, what other games? Let's talk about Final Fantasy then. So your favorite Final Fantasy is Fantasy X, but what other Final Fantasy games do you like and have you played?
6. 6 would be the next favorite after that.
6.
Just that's the same. For the exact same reasons as 10, really. The story great, characters. I loved the variety of characters in it. Fantastic cast, music phenomenal. Seelies, everything to do with Seelies in that game is just, it's just narrative perfection to me. I'm also a pretty staunch defender of the Final Fantasy 13 games. I know they're the controversial ones.
Same.
They're the black sheep,
It is,
but
isn't it?
I thought the stories were fantastic. I really enjoyed the story. And the gameplay, it's more linear than I probably would have liked, but they're good games. I feel the story and characters more than make up for it,
Yeah, I always say with 13, obviously I'm a massive Final Fantasy fan, as we know, that the only problem with 13's story is the fact that on your first playthrough of it anyway, you have to go through the data logs to find out what's going on, because it's so hard to keep up with everything. And I think that's what lets it down, really, isn't it? Everyone talks about the linearity of the game, but the story's so rich. It's so good, and that's my kitty.
It is. So. Hey, cutie. What I found lame about people saying, "Oh, it's too linear," is that, like, as a means of comparison, Final Fantasy X is also incredibly linear. You're on a straight path until basically the end of the game. Why is it okay with that game but not with 13?
100%. Yeah, you're right. And so Silent Hill 2 is your favorite horror. What are your thoughts on the other Silent Hill games?
3 is another great one, of course. I think the kind of the difference between them is that 2 is a more upsetting game, whereas 3 is a more disturbing game.
Yeah.
1 and 3, they're not for the faint of heart, those games, and I love that. I love how ballsy Team Silent were. Silent Hill 4 is good. I love that. I actually probably would say the story in that is the most engrossing, if I was to be honest, which is probably a controversial thing to say, but I really love the story in 4, but the gameplay's a little they were going off the rails a little bit with that one. Then you get to the non-Team Silent games, and that's when it gets a little fuzzy. Shadow Memories was good. Shadow Memories I really enjoyed that one. But Homecoming deserves the hate it gets, not gonna lie. It's a weird one, and I can see what they were going for, but they failed on almost every account. You know what I mean? Origins is good. Book of Memories, we don't talk about Book of Memories. It doesn't exist. HD Collection, absolute mess. Downpour is okay, but just none of them reach the heights of the original 4. Even the great ones like Shadow Memories, in my opinion, they don't even come close. I think Team Silent were very much I think the phrase is lightning in a bottle. It was just a bunch of great minds all converged at once, created a few masterpieces, and then Konami decided to end it for some godforsaken reason.
Yeah. Then we don't talk about PT. We don't talk about.
PT.
No, we don't want to cry. We don't want to cry tonight, guys. Oh,
I don't want to cry. Hey, so Konami.
What order do you play Silent Hill in then? So was it 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 3 maybe? Because you said Silent Hill 2
was my first one.
3 was your first?
Actually, 3 was my
Goodness
first one.
Goodness me, that would have been a hell of an intro into the series.
It most certainly was, but it started my love for Heather. Heather is an amazing protagonist. I love everything about her. But I had no clue what was going on in the story, but I was just in it for the ride, Then 2, then 1, then 4. So I played it in the worst order imaginable, but it's fine.
Mine was 1, 2, 3, 4. But 1 and 2 were earlier than 3 and 4. I actually didn't play 3 for many years later. So it hit me like a train wreck in the face in terms of how much horror and how, like, you're talking about how disturbing it is. Like, that caught me way off guard because I just played 2, and 2 is so beautiful in its horror. And yet 3 is like the complete opposite in terms of it's just grotesque
2 is very
horror.
Exactly. 2 is very minimalist, and then it's like it slowly builds up, and then you get to the end, and the spooks, the scariness is in the realization of what's happened. Whereas with 3, they don't hold any punches.
Nope.
Everything you come across is just disgusting and beautiful, and I just loved how ballsy they were with those games. There wasn't many games out there. There was horror games. They were creepy. They were gory, but there was something about Silent Hill that was just it would get into your brain, and it did for me anyway. And it'll always stand above the rest,
So you class yourself as a horror streamer. So what other horror games do you like across the spectrum, really? So we're going to forget about Silent Hill for now. There's got to be others, I'm sure.
Resident Evil's always a mainstay. Can't go wrong. I think Resident Evil's a lot more replayable than a lot of other rhythm games, a lot of other horror games, I meant to say. Beyond that, I've been playing Haunting Ground. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, we've been streaming Haunting Ground at the moment, which is a forgotten horror gem from the PS2, also by Capcom.
Right. Not heard of that one either.
Really, you've not heard of it? Oh,
No.
I highly recommend it. It's very interesting actually. That one came into fruition when they were creating ideas for Resident Evil 4. So when they were making Resident Evil 4, they had some leftover ideas, you know, this beta or alpha version rather of Resident Evil 4, and from those leftover ideas, they created Devil May Cry 1 and Haunting Ground. So it's very it's kind of everyone talks.
Cry, but Haunting Ground was
Exactly.
never heard about that one, right?
And you can tell, you know, because it's in a castle setting and it's very you can definitely see the influence there, but I highly recommend it. It's a really underrated gem.
Because Resident Evil 4 history, I know quite a bit about it. I'm surprised I've not heard about a game for that reason. But I mean, like there was like the Hookman version of Resident Evil 4, wasn't there? Is it based on that?
That's the one. Exactly. That's it exactly.
Really?
Yeah, and you can see the influences alright.
I'm gonna have to look at that. That's amazing.
Sure. Oh, it's very streamable.
So you're playing that at the moment, are you?
Yes, on stream. We took a little break from it on Sunday to do the speed runs in White Day, but we'll be back on that grind again.
I've got to watch that. No, that sounds like fun. All right, so other horror games you like?
Other horror games. Let's see. This is the first time I ever played about 2 or 3 months ago. Dead Space. I was completely off never tuned into Dead Space when it was all the rage, you know. But I finally gave it a go after another fantastic streamer that I really enjoy watching, Biohazard Drew. Shout out to Drew. He recommended I play it, and when I saw him play, I was like, okay, I like the look of this. I always kind of avoided it because I thought it looked a little too gory for my tastes. But playing it, it's aging wonderfully. Like I've only played the first one, which was 2008, I believe.
Right, yeah.
And it's fantastic. You wouldn't think it came out that long ago. Well, that long ago by video game standards, you know. The graphics beautiful, the horror, the controls are wonderful. It's a great game, and it's very influenced by Resident Evil 4, which we can never get enough of.
Right, so. Yeah. I'm saying never played it. I was funnily enough, I was going to play it on stream myself, and then they boom announced a remake of it, didn't they? So I'm like, oh, okay.
They did. Great timing.
I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should get on the bandwagon or wait. I don't know. So I don't know. I did need to play them. I need to play Dead Space. It's crazy I've not played it myself. So yeah.
I've only played the first one so far, but it's the 2's meant to be great as well. Dead Space 2. If you have to play it, let's see other horror games. I'm blanking on them now when I have to think about them. It's been a lot of Resident Evil lately. We went on a little bit of a Resident Evil binge in the lead up to Village, and I've just kind of kept that train rolling. I'm blanking on other ones right now. White Day, Silent Hill. Wow, they're not coming to mind now that I'm on the spot, but there's definitely been more in there. But I like to go very slow with my games.
I found your stream on a Resident Evil 1 playthrough.
Yes, that's
how I found you. And so I was going to say, what is your favourite Resident Evil game then? Is it 4? Is it 1?
Not 4. Code Veronica.
Code Veronica, that's a great game.
That's a rare one. There's not many Code Veronica fans though.
Right. And I've noticed a few people are playing it now, actually. But I mean, for some unknown reason, it doesn't get the love it deserves. It's such a great game. And,
yes, I love Alfred and Alexia. I think they're fantastic villains. They're very interesting. They're weird. They're kooky, but I love them. You know.
Oh.
And Steve is a cutie. I love him to bits. I know he's a dork. I can totally see why people hate him, but I just find something so endearing about him.
Proper Marmite
He really is. He really is, you know? But it's interesting. I think Code Veronica was meant to be 3, and then they switched 3 with Code Veronica, so that's why Code Veronica is a lot more relevant to the story than 3 is. Because when you think about it, like Resident Evil 3, you could kind of cut that out. You know, like it's not terribly important to the storyline.
Yeah.
It doesn't add as much as I think 2 and Code Veronica do. Code Veronica is kind of the bridge between old Resident Evil and new.
Definitely, you know? Yeah. And there's a lot of Resident Evil lore in it. Like people, and it's the crazy thing about again people who've not played Code Veronica. There's so much lore that you're not going to miss, that you're not going to hear about or know about if you miss that game completely out.
Yes.
Like there's so much stuff.
I skipped Code Veronica for the longest time, and I went back and I played the old ones, and then or rather the tank control ones, and then I played 4, 5, 6, and then I went back and played Code Veronica, and I really saw how much you miss if you skip that one, and it's a crying shame that it's kind of written off as the spin-off game. It's like, it's not a spin-off
No,
game.
no,
It's
no, no.
way too important for it to be a spin-off game,
Completely agreed. So here's a question for you: did you know that Wesker was the main villain in Code Veronica when you played it, or did you not know that?
I didn't.
No,
And so when he
get
showed
it.
up, it was like, whoa,
Same.
okay, hello.
Same. I was. It
Yeah.
blew my mind.
Yeah, they completely keep him on the down low, and then all of a sudden he's just there.
Yeah.
And that's when he gets his Matrix style
Yeah.
powers that he's got going on.
Oh.
I always wondered why in 5 all of a sudden he's this Matrix knockoff. And then so that's one of the many reasons why Code Veronica is so important.
Yeah. Oh, love it, love it. So what made you consider then streaming? What brought that into the discussion?
Into the mix.
Into the mix.
I never was keen on streaming for the longest time. I was kind of like, I always had the mentality where it's like, why would I want to watch someone stream when I could just play it myself, which is a very cynical way to look at it. But I was part of my degree. I study outside of streaming. I study Japanese translation. And as part of my degree, I was meant to go to Japan, of course. Then COVID happened, so that kind of got a big boost. Never got to make it there in the end. But in the meantime, in about, when was it? Maybe last October. So one of my friends got into streaming while we were in a pretty heavy lockdown. And I watched them. They didn't kind of stick with it in the end. They gave it a go. It wasn't their thing. Fair enough. But then when I watched them, I was kind of thinking, hey, actually, I can see the appeal to this. I can see why the little community you can get going, and the way it's like, it's a social outlet for gaming, and then I just gave it a bash myself, originally through the direct PS4 to Twitch streaming system that they have, which is incredibly limited in terms of customization and all that. But it was so exciting, and also honestly, I owe a lot to streaming because it kind of got me through COVID. I think it still is getting me through COVID.
Yeah.
It gave me a schedule to my week when I was severely lacking one because of the lockdown. All the classes were online. I never made it to Japan, so I was doing classes in Japan over here, and it was a dreadful affair. The whole thing, it was tragic. So the streaming felt like that social outlet that COVID has taken from all of us.
Yeah. Okay, just going on a possible tangent here. So I mean, we're talking about obviously video games and stuff like that, but it is possibly linked as well. So you obviously you're studying Japanese. You're going to be going to Japan. Is that because of video games that you had an interest in Japanese culture?
Absolutely,
Thought as much.
absolutely, absolutely. How could it not be? I know, typical weeb story. I got into through video games and all that, but no, it was definitely just seeing the sheer creative talent that was in Japanese made games. I mean, like, there's creativity with every single company, American, European, Japanese, but there was something about the Japanese ones that really kind of grabbed me, and I wanted to be able, because I play a lot of games in Japanese now, because there's so many games that never get released over here,
cool. Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, I want to appreciate these wonderful creations in the native language. I want to appreciate them in their truest form, you know? So that was a massive drive. And I used them originally as well for language practice. It was great for listening. It was great for reading. So there's definitely a learning benefit to it too. I highly recommend anyone who's considering learning Japanese, even just recreational, use video games, use some very basic video games. Even the Resident Evil games, they're great for learning Japanese because the Japanese of them is fairly simplistic, but also the cutscenes are in English. So you have that crutch while you're reading the Japanese, that worst case scenario, if you don't follow it, you can just listen to the English,
That's brilliant advice. Yeah, completely agree with that. That's excellent. So do you remember you kind of touched on it earlier, but we're going to go back to it now. So tell us about your first ever stream.
I played, so it's through the PS4 Twitch Direct thing, which is so basic now that I look back on it, but I played Resident Evil 2 Remake, the Claire story with the retro skin on, because there's no other way to play as Claire in Resident Evil 2 without that skin.
Did you have the original music as well?
I don't have it, unfortunately.
No.
It's DLC, isn't it? I haven't bothered getting it yet, but I really should, actually, because I've seen streams of it and it's gorgeous the way it all links together. But a bunch of my friends kind of tuned in, for a bit of that moral support.
Yeah.
They were great for the beginning, first few weeks of streaming. Like, it was, you need that someone there to kind of cheer you on, because I remember I was so timid on camera. I was so slow to talk about things, super hyper aware of my every movement, my every word. I even remember one of my early streams. At one point in this 3-hour stream, my voice cracked at one point when I was saying something. I could not stop thinking about that. I got so it was just, you're scrutinizing everything you do in those early on streams. It was just silly things like that, So But yeah, no, anyway, the first stream was Resident Evil 2 Remake. I didn't get very far, and I also couldn't focus on the game very well because you're kind of dual wielding the
Yeah.
chat and the game, which is a lot harder than people think when it
Yes.
comes to streaming. Streamer brain is absolutely a thing when you're not
Absolutely.
doing as well in the game because you're trying to be an entertainer
Yeah.
and keep chatting and game. It's a tough combination, but yeah, no, it was really fun. I think I got as far as the close to the end of the police station. I just remember afterwards thinking that was mad crack. I want to do that again.
Yes.
You know,
it's addictive, isn't it? It is addictive.
It
I love. I had the same. I have a very similar story. But I was playing Sonic 3 Knuckles. That's my first stream.
Nice, very cool.
So,
yeah.
do you have like a favorite stream, or do you have just general favorite stream memories? What do you have like a favorite stream at all? Maybe.
Yes. In the early days when it was a lot of the time in the early streams, it was mainly just my friends were kind of tuning in, my in real life friends tuning in and keeping that moral support going. And one of the early games I played was Resident Evil 4. And that was a great stream. That was a great game to play. I feel like a load of the people that are still tuned into my streams today found me through that game. So I really appreciate the game for that. But I got up to the, spoiler alert, I got up to the Salazar fight. Salazar, isn't it? Yeah, he's the little fella in Resident Evil 4. Yes, got to that fight. And the stream started at that fight. I saved just before that fight. And I went into it thinking, all right, guys, let's go. We're going to beat Resident Evil 4. We're going to get through this. And I just recently introduced the channel point redemption for put down your controller for a minute.
Oh, yeah. Dun,
and
dun, dun.
As you can imagine, the whole stream, it's just everyone was taking the piss, basically. And it just became absolute. There was something about the chat that day. They were feeling chaotic that day. Anytime the redemption ran out, someone else redeemed it. And it was like, there was a solid, like there was a good 15, 16, 70 people. So there was plenty to go around, you know? I remember there was one person who tuned in at the beginning and said, oh, sorry, I'll be lurking for a while. They came back 2 hours later and they're like, you're still not past this fight? And I was like, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It was so chaotic, but it was one of the funniest damn streams I've ever. It was all about the fun, you know? I wasn't playing for skill. As long as people came out of it with a laugh, I was happy, you know?
100%.
It was great.
That's brilliant. So what about any of it? Like, do you have any of it memories that come to mind, really, in terms of just streaming, really, you know? But
Streaming
that is
as
a
a
heck
whole.
of a story.
Yeah. I remember I did at one point when one of my early streams again, I was playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. Whew, 10 out of 10 game right there. My sister was made a little. She's an artist. That's what she does. And she made a VTuber of me.
Oh, did she draw that picture?
Yes, all of my artwork she did.
Yay.
Yes, exactly. But she did like a full body like VTuber of me, and I used it for 1 or 2 streams. It was mainly a bit of a test run. She was just trying out new tech, and she just said, "Hey, want to be my guinea pig?" And it was really cute. It's like it had the eye movement and everything, and it was adorable. And I just remember people's amazement when I just said to everyone, I was like, "Hey guys, something a little different today on stream." So they were probably just thinking like nothing important, and then here we are, just 2D Tango sitting in front of them, you know. That was great. That was another great memory. It was fun to mix it up a little bit. I need to find a way to implement that VTuber back into it. I need to maybe throw her in the corner or something like that. Just keep her going. She was cute.
That is awesome. I missed that. I'm gutted. So look at that. If you do it again, let me know.
Definitely, I will.
So have you got any like just general advice that you'd give to anyone that is thinking about streaming?
Ooh, okay. It's, I think, something that I still struggle to accept myself when it comes to streaming all these months later. Don't focus on the numbers. Don't be doing it to get that high viewer count. Don't be doing it to get don't go into it with the mentality, I want to make money. You know, don't look at it from a very kind of financial or whatever way of looking at it, because ideally you should be doing it for the fun primarily, you know. And also the main problem with it though is that, I mean, obviously we'd all love to become full-time streamers. That's the dream, right? But if you go into it and you're constantly fixated on how many viewers or how many subscribers or how many whatever, you'll just keep disappointing yourself, because it's a slow burn. If the people that make it that far to be, you know, in the 70, 80, 90, 100 plus viewers, it takes time. And it's also a bit of luck as well, unfortunately. Yeah. So the main thing is, did you have fun? And even if you only have one person join you in the entire stream, did they have fun? Did you have a good time with this person? Did you engage with them? It's all about meeting new people and forming a little community of like-minded people that want to stick around and befriend you. You know, it's like, that's the cool thing about Twitch. It's you're making friends and all with the same taste as you, usually, you know, the same interest in games, the same passion for games. So if you get fixated on the numbers, I feel that might reflect on your stream. You know, you're looking at it very you should just keep it light, you know, and then when you focus less on the numbers, that's amazingly when the numbers come in. You know, like when very early on, when I, you know, at the beginning you always fixate on the numbers, you know, because it's all new to you. But then when I went along and all of a sudden played Resident Evil 4, and so many people who still tune into me today found me through that game, it was just like, when you focus on it less is when it happens, you know. So I think the beginning, just chill out, be yourself, throw on the game, have a laugh, and the people will come, you know.
100%. Couldn't have said it any better. Got a bonus question for you. I was going to ask you earlier, but now I'm going to ask it, throw it at you. So, what do you think of the ending of Fantasy VII Remake? And we can talk about spoilers.
Oh, okay.
It's such a controversial topic. I got to
ask. Oy vey. Yeah, actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, maybe calling it a 10 out of 10 perfect game, I might revoke that statement. Yeah. Okay. I am apprehensive, but trying to stay positive.
Yeah.
The director for 7 Remake is Tetsuya Nomura, who anyone who plays Kingdom Hearts knows his bullshit all too well. He is a fantastic visual. I will stand by this. He is fantastic at visual direction. He is beautifully talented when it comes to making a stunning visual experience. Storytelling, he needs someone to tether him down. He needs someone to be there and say, look, that sounds cool, but it's going to be terrible in execution. He doesn't have that with Kingdom Hearts. And he didn't have that with 7 Remake. And we saw that in the ending. I don't know what to make of it. I really hope they don't revive Zack, because that you're kind of destroying a really emotional aspect to the original story if you revive Zack. But I don't think they're gonna do that, because they did say they're not gonna alter the story too much. So it could have just been a bit of a shock ending, you know, something to make you go whoa and make you buy the next game, and then oh wait, no, Zack's still dead. It's fine, you know. I hope it's that. What did you think of it?
You know what, you pretty much said it for me. I completely agree with you. I love Fantasy VII Remake, and then the ending is like, wow, okay, okay, right. Okay.
Okay, so, we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, and then we are right. We don't know what's going to happen with the part 2 of it. We have no idea if they're going to continue with that, multiple dimensions idea. Because of course it seems to have gone completely meta. Is that going to be the main focus? Is it going to be the main drive? Is this going to be the main story, and then they're going to have it as bit kind of part filler? Maybe, I don't know. It's not. You know? So hard. But like you said, you know, Zack. And the two main things are Zack and Aerith. Let's be honest. I mean, if they touch either of those two characters in terms of really kind of messing about with life and death, should we say, to put it casually,
exactly.
You know, it's okay.
I'll admit as well, I even found the final boss of 7 Remake, not the Sephiroth part, the boss fight before it with the weird. What do you even call it? This like phantom
dream thing, wasn't it? Dream
thing. You know, I even found that a little, like, when I played it first, I was thinking, okay, yeah, you know what? I can tell this is Nomura up to his antics, like, you know. So, you just roll with it. The Sephiroth fight is cool. It's really cool. I loved that part. But the bit before it was a little. Is this just a filler boss before, you know, the part everyone's waiting for, which was Sephiroth? You know?
Yeah, but I mean, even that boss looked like a Kingdom Hearts boss. You know, I felt.
What I found interesting as well, if I may just throw out there, the like little phantom creatures that you fight before the big phantom creature, someone pointed out that all of them, the weapons they use, are the weapons that the characters, you know, the 3 Genova children in the Final Fantasy film, the Kadaj, I can't remember their names, all 3 of their names, but apparently it's the same.
And I can't remember the other one is, but yeah.
There's one other one that I always forget his name, but apparently it's the same weapons as them, which is very interesting if they're going to be tying them back into the game lore. Yeah. That would be great. If that is true, that's fantastic. I love that. Yeah, great detail.
That's fine. I don't mind them adding those characters, because obviously we've seen characters in the Yuffie DLC
Yes.
from Trice's
Dirge
Core, I
Circus,
believe,
was
isn't
it?
it?
Oh,
So
yes.
adding that's no problem, but they don't need to do this whole new fourth dimension meta-ness, really, I don't
Ooh,
feel.
it's going to be nasty if they do that. I'm not going to be a supporter of that. Unfortunately, I'll play it. I'll play the hell out of it, but I'm not going to like it if they do that. You know?
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, even like I completely agree with the Sephiroth final boss situation, but it was great, but it wasn't necessary. I didn't feel, because
wasn't
now
really.
again, that whole build up of the regional game is building up to finally taking on Sephiroth at the
Yeah.
end of the game, and they've brought it so early on now, one winged angel and all, and it's like,
Exactly.
so what happens when we go against Sephiroth Part 2, Part 3, Part 4? We're gonna hear one winged
We're
angel
going to have to
remix.
exactly. We're going to fight him over and over because, like, the great thing with the original Seven was they really built up Sephiroth well. I will always remember the bit when you cross the marshland area and you see the snake, the Midgar Zolom, I think his name was.
Yes.
Something like that, but he's impaled on
Yeah.
a stick, and then they're like, "Did Sephiroth do this?" I just thought that was so good at really letting you know this guy is not someone to mess with.
Nope.
And I feel like that's kind of lost now because we fought him once and we beat him once, already, and we're not even out of Midgar yet. So
Did Sephiroth do this? Oh yeah, clearly he did. we just see what he's
yeah,
capable
obviously.
of.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Oh, that was lovely. That was a brilliant interview. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you so
that
much. It
was-
was great fun.
I've run out of questions. No.
No.
So pretty please everyone follow Kate, aka Tangomushi, on Twitter. Is there anything else you want to plug? Is it just your Twitch? Not Twitter.
It's mainly just Twitch, really, is my only outlet at the moment. Twitch
Yeah.
and Twitter.
And you got a Discord as well, I think, haven't you? So
Oh, I do indeed. Tango's Hi Matt. Yes, I do. I have a Discord. I'm not sure how I'll be able to rep it here, but it's on all my socials, so you can find it there.
but no, please follow Tangomushi. She's an amazing streamer. It's been I love joining her streams when I can, and it's been a pleasure chatting to you today. Thank you so much for doing it.
Excited. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. Well, that's it really. So I'm gonna finish the podcast episode thingamajig here. Thanks so much, everyone.
So fun.
I will see you all for the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.